Hello students, this is SriRam Shastri. So once again I welcome you back to my new video session on human health and diseases. So this video we will be discussing about the class 12th biology topic, chapter number 8, that is human health and diseases. So in this chapter we will be discussing about the different categories of infectious and non-infectious diseases, their causative agents, their vectors and preventive measures also. So to start with, basically the first discussion on this will have on introduction of diseases and how can we divide the diseases into different categories. So if we talk about diseases, they can be categorized into three different categories as communicable or infectious, non-communicable or non-infectious, and congenital or by birth diseases. Communicable diseases are those which can be transmitted from person to person, whereas non-communicable diseases are those diseases which cannot be transferred from one person to another person. They are usually physiological diseases, whereas congenital means the diseases which are present in an individual at the time of birth or beginning from the birth itself. That may be genetic related diseases. So further, communicable diseases can be divided into contagious and non-contagious. Contagious disease means a disease which can be transmitted from person to person by direct contact. It's called as contagious disease. Whereas non-contagious means a disease which can be transmitted from one person to another person, but not by direct contact, but with the help of a vector. Now here what do you mean by vector is an animal or an insect or an organism which carries the disease causing organism from one individual to another individual. For example, if you talk about malaria, malaria is caused by plasmodium and it is being transmitted from female anopheles mosquito. Female anopheles mosquito is the vector and the causative agent is the plasmodium species of protozoan. So non-contagious diseases require an organism, a carrier, which is actually mainly most of the carriers are insects. Okay, most of the carriers are insects like house flies, bed bugs, lice, mosquitoes, etc. Coming to the next one, so we'll talk about the different diseases. Like first category, we'll talk about the viral diseases, the diseases which are caused by viruses. The first disease which is included in our syllabus is common cold, which is also called as rhinitis. Now the causative agent of rhinitis is rhinovirus. Okay, it's the rhinovirus, and the mode of infection is droplets resulting from cough or sneezes. When an infected person coughs or sneezes, the aerosols or the droplets that come out of his nose and mouth contain numerous viruses, and those viruses, when they are inhaled by a healthy person, you will be getting those viruses inside your nasal tract. So incubation period. Now what is incubation period? If you talk about incubation period, is the time period for which the organism, that is pathogen. What do you mean by pathogen here is a disease causing organism is called as pathogen. Any pathogen which remains in your body in inactive stage without any symptoms, that is called as incubation time period. For every organism, for every type of species, it is different. For rhinovirus, it is around 3 to 7 days is the incubation period, and the site of infection is upper respiratory tract, not the lungs. What is upper respiratory tract means? Only the nasal chamber up to pharynx it will be infected because of common cold. Then next, if you talk about the symptoms, you know the symptoms, it's a common, that is nasal congestion, that is stuffy nose, or discharge, that is runny nose. Sore throat, there will be a slight discomfort in the throat. Cough, headache, tiredness, body aches can be seen in common cold. In some people whose immunity is quite weaker, they show more exaggerated symptoms, whereas those people who have a stronger immunity, they may not show what you call as severe symptoms, mild symptoms like stuffy nose, runny nose and headache. And actually This disease is not curable. Most of the viral diseases are non-curable diseases. They can be just prevented, but in case of common cold, it cannot be even prevented also. What you can do, you can just take rest, take a lot of fluids, it will be automatically gone. So within 5 to 6 or 7 days, the virus that itself goes away from your body once its life cycle is completed. It will not harm you permanently, and it is not a curable disease. Whatever tablets and medicines you get in the market, they just for a while they give you relief from the symptoms. They only give relief from symptoms. It is not a cure. Now coming to some other examples of viral infections. So we have a list of 15 viral infections here. We can go through it. Dengue. Dengue is caused by flavirribovirus, or also commonly called as dengue virus. Now dengue is a very deadly disease. It's also called as a breakbone disease because the major symptoms of this disease is severe fever with body ache, bone aches, and pain of head and eye orbits. Okay, in dengue generally the platelet counts generally reduces, causing to hemorrhage, that is internal bleeding. Internal bleeding leads to death, so it's also called as hemorrhagic dengue. There is another type called as classic dengue. Now dengue is caused by the virus, but it requires a vector, and the vector here is the not Anopheles mosquito. This time it is Aedes aegypti. It's also called as tiger mosquito or striped mosquito. Okay, so it's a small mosquito which has silver colored or white colored bands on its body. It's different from Anopheles mosquito. So remember the vector is Aedes aegypti, and the causative agent is flavirribovirus, or also called as dengue virus. AIDS is, it can be studied in detail in the next part of the chapter as we have it in this chapter. So AIDS is caused by AIDS. The full form is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Now AIDS is caused by a virus called as human immunovirus or human immunodeficiency virus. HIV, when it is infected by a person. Now again this is a sexually transmitted disease, so it requires either mixture of serum, body fluids with infected and non-infected person, or unprotected sexual contact leads to HIV infection. Now HIV's incubation time is very long. That will in detail about HIV life cycle with study in the later part of the chapter. Coming to the next one, third, that is chickenpox. Chickenpox, again, it's a type of contagious disease which can be transmitted from person to person once a person comes in contact with the pus of wounds which are being produced on the body of an infected person because of varicella zoster. The causative agent of this disease is a virus called as varicella zoster. Varicella zoster is the name of the virus which causes chickenpox. Then again another fourth one, it's also a sexually transmitted disease called as herpes. Herpes is caused by herpes simplex virus. Now herpes simplex virus type 1 and herpes simplex virus type 2 are there. One is oral herpes, which is not so dangerous. It mainly infects only the oral cavity of the person, which can be seen in many people. They consider it as fever pimples or fever spots. Whereas the type second one, that is the genital herpes, which is very deadly. It can cause severe complexities in male as well as in females. Then genital warts is also a sexually transmitted disease caused by another virus called as HPV or human papilloma virus. Again, it affects genital area because of unprotected sexual intercourse, and here you can see warts, development of warts on genital area. Again, this is also a deadly disease for both male and female. Then sixth one is yellow fever. Yellow fever is also caused by a virus called as flavivirus. It's also similar class of flavirribovirus. Dengue and yellow fever, both of them are caused by similar class of viruses. Also they can be transmitted by the insect called Aedes aegypti. Seventh one is chikungunya. It's caused by chikungunya virus or chick5 virus. It's also similar to dengue but not so deadly. In chikungunya, generally the joint there will be severe fever, constant fever, and joint pains. Later, in older age, chikungunya can lead to arthritis. Okay. Then eighth one is mumps. Mumps is caused by myxovirus parotitis. It's also a disease which infects the parotid glands. Inflammation of parotid glands takes place because of this infection. But the good thing about this is it is not a deadly type of disease. But again, this disease generally occurs once in lifetime. After that, it provides lifetime immunity, which is acquired type of immunity. Also, there is a ninth one, measles and rubella. We have vaccines for this, that is MMR vaccine, which is given for mumps, measles, and rubella. Measles or rubella, it's caused by rubeolla virus. Again, it's quite deadly in infants which are not the infants who are not vaccinated. For them, German measles or rubella is very deadly. It can cause death. There will be fever and rose colored spots developed on the body, and that's why it's called as rose spots or rubella spots. Okay. Then poliomyelitis caused by enterovirus or also called as poliovirus. Now this virus is also very deadly. It infects a particular part of the body, and that part does not develop in future. It remains non-functional, we can say. It mainly damages the growth and nerves connections of that area. It's a deadly disease which can make a person disabled for complete lifetime. Generally, infants after birth or till 5 years, they are being administered with oral polio vaccine in India, and it's a good thing that in our country, in India, from last 10 years, there is not even a single case of polio. Then 11th one is rabies. Rabies is caused by rabies virus. Again, these viruses remain in wild animals' saliva. The infected animal can transmit it to human beings, like it may be bat, it may be cat, it may be dog. Mainly dogs are more prone to get rabies virus, and whenever rabies virus enter into human, again it can damage a person's life completely. It's not very easily treatable. It's also called as hydrophobia. Then 12th one is viral hepatitis. There are different types of hepatitis like hepatitis A virus, hepatitis B virus, hepatitis C virus, hepatitis D virus, and hepatitis E virus. Out of which hepatitis B is considered as sexually transmitted disease. HIV, HAV, HCV, HDV, and HEV. They are not so highly toxic. 13th one is smallpox. Smallpox is being considered as eradicated. Again, it is also caused by a virus called as variola. Chickenpox, cowpox, these diseases mainly infect once in lifetime, because after that the B lymphocytes are converted into memory cells and lifetime immunity is provided by your cells. It is a type of acquired immunity, or if you get vaccinated, then it will be a type of acquired immunity, but artificial acquired immunity. Then 14th one is swine flu. It's also caused by pigs, not directly by pigs, but a type of virus which mainly infects pigs. So the word swine refers to pig itself. Flu refers to influenza, a disease which is caused by influenza virus. So there are different types of virus like influenza A virus, in that H1N1, H1N2, H3N2, H2N3. These are the different strains of influenza A virus which mainly infect the pigs, and from pigs, zoonotic disease is also an example of a zoonotic disease. From pigs to human beings it is transmitted. Last one is SARS. The full form of this is severe acute respiratory syndrome. Again, it was one of the deadliest disease caused by a class of virus called coronaviruses. Presently, in all over the world, we are suffering from a pandemic called the COVID-19 pandemic, which is also a type of SARS virus, that is SARS coronavirus type 2. Okay. So they mainly infect the lower respiratory system and can cause pneumonia like disease and can lead to death in people who have a lower immunity or who cannot fight with the disease because of their immunity. So this is the first part of the chapter where we have discussed the introduction part, the types of diseases, how to classify them, and the first type, that is viral diseases, and some of the examples under this. In the next video, we'll continue with the bacterial diseases. For today, we'll stop it here. Thank you.